बलदेव जय सुभद्रा जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा जय गौरनिताय 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 जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय 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 जय गौरनिताय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्री ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा गिरधरी भगवान की जय श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा मैया की जय श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंद हरि हरि बोल ऑल ग्लोरी टू द assembled devotees हरे कृष्ण ऑल ग्लोरी टू द assembled devotees हरे कृष्ण ऑल ग्लोरी टू द assembled devotees हरे कृष्ण all glories to the lotus feet of Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Gurudev. Hare Krishna. We'll continue to read from Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prabhupada Lilamrita ki jai. Share screen.
Yes, we can see Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you. One of the devotees mentioned how fitting it had been that the mayor of New Delhi, Mr. Hans Raj Gupta, had greeted Prabhupada at the airport. Prabhupada smiled. In his speech before Mayor Gupta and a gathering at the airport, Prabhupada had explained India's duty of performing welfare work for the rest of the world. He had also described how, at age 25, he had met his Guru Maharaj and had then received the order to carry Lord Chaitanya's message to the English-speaking world. Explaining why he had waited until he was 70 before going west, he had remarked, I was trying to become a successful tool for preaching Lord Chaitanya's message. Hundreds of thousands of preachers were needed now, and the Krishna consciousness movement was spreading throughout the world. And the black men are also dancing, Prabhupada had said. And they are asking the Indian people, why you and the Swamis do not give us this sublime method? Delhi was the third Indian city Prabhupada had visited since his return from Africa a month ago. His first stop, Bombay, had began roughly. Shyam Sundar had neglected to carry Srila Prabhupada's inoculation card, so immigration officials had denied Prabhupada entry into India, quarantining him at the Bombay Airport Hospital for 10 days. Confined to a suite with an adjoining veranda overlooking a garden, Prabhupada had resigned himself to a more limited sphere of activity. Still, each morning after breakfast, he had conducted a dialogue with Shyam Sundar about certain leading Western philosophers. Shyam Sundar would present a particular philosophy, and Prabhupada would discuss it in light of the Vedic view. Then, with only one day left before the end of the 10-day quarantine period, the inoculation card had arrived and Prabhupada had been released. The Prabhupada Lilamrita ki jai. Thank you. We continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. Raj. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी श्रीमद्भागवतं पुराणममलं यद्वैष्णवानां प्रियं यस्मिन् परहंस्यम् एकम् अमलं ज्ञानं परं गीयते तत्र ज्ञानविरागभक्तिसहितं नैष्कार्म्यमाविष्कृतं तच्छृण्वन् सुपठन् विचारनपरो भक्त्या विमुच्ये नराः भक्त्या विमुच्ये नराः भक्त्या विमुच्ये नराः धन्यवाद श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. So today we will be doing Canto 5, Chapter 18, Text 9. A very, very important and significant verse. So we'll recite them together. स्वस्त्यस्तु विश्वस्य खला प्रसीदताम् ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया मनश्च भद्रं भजताददोक्षजे आवेश्यतां नो मतिरप्यहैतुकी स्वस्त्यस्तु विश्वस्य खला प्रसीदताम् ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया मनश्च भद्रं भजताददोक्षजे आवेश्यतां नो मतिरप्यहैतुकी. Okay, devotees would like to recite.
Yes, Prabhu, I can try. Hare Krishna. Sastastu vishasya khala prasidataṃ dhayantu bhutani shivaṃ mitho dhiya manasya bhadram bhajatad adhokshaje aveshataṃ na motirapi ahituki. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I can try.
Sure.
Okay, Prabhu. Swastyastu vishwasya khala prasidatam dhyayantu bhutani shivam mito dhiya manascha bhadram bhajata dathokshaje aveshyatam no matirapya haituki. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Swasti astu vishwasya khala prasidatam dhyayantu bhutani siyam mito dhiya manascha bhadram bhajata dadhokshaje aveshyatam no matirapya hituki. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, we'll go to the synonyms. Swasti, auspiciousness. Astu, let there be. Vishwasya, of the entire universe. Khalaha, the envious, almost everyone. Prasidatam, let them be pacified. Dhyayantu, let them consider. Bhutani, all the living entities. Shivam, auspiciousness. Mithaha, mutual. Dhiya, by their intelligence. Manaha, the mind. Cha, and Bhadram, calmness. Bhajatat, let it experience. Adhokshaje, in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is beyond the perception of mind, intelligence, and senses. Aveshyatam, let it be absorbed. Naha, our. Matihi, intelligence. Api, indeed. Ahaituki, without any motive. Somebody would like to read the translation?
May I, Prabhuji, please?
Yeah.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. May there be good fortune throughout the universe, and may all envious persons be pacified. May all living entities become calm by practicing Bhakti Yoga. For they, accepting devotional service, they will think of each other's welfare. Therefore, let us all engage in the service of the Supreme Transcendence, Lord Sri Krishna, and always remain absorbed in thought of him. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
It's a longish purport, so I'll request maybe 2 or 3 devotees to read each paragraph, if you can.
Okay, Prabhu, I can start. Then
Sure.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The following verse describes a Vaishnava. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhayeva patitanam pavonebhyo Vaishnavabhyo namo namaha. Just like a desire tree, a Vaishnava can fulfill all the desires of anyone who takes shelter of his lotus feet. Prahlad Maharaj is a typical Vaishnava. He prays not for himself but for all living entities, the gentle, the envious, and the mischievous. He always thought of the welfare of mischievous persons like his father Hiranyakashipu. Prahlad Maharaj did not ask for anything for himself. Rather, he prayed for the Lord to excuse his demoniac father. This is the attitude of a Vaishnava, who always think of the welfare of the entire universe. Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Dharma are meant for persons who are completely free of envy. Parama Nirmat Saranam. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj prays in this verse, Khala Prashidatam. May all the envious persons be pacified. The material world is full of envious persons, but if one frees himself of envy, he becomes liberal in his social dealings and can think of others' welfare. Anyone who takes up Krishna consciousness and engages himself completely in the service of the Lord cleanses his mind of all envy. Manascha bhadram bhajatat adhukshaji. Therefore, we should pray to Lord Nrsimhadev to sit in our hearts. We should pray Bahir Nrsimha Hriday Nrsimha. Let Lord Nrsimhadev sit in the core of my heart, killing all my bad propensities. Let my mind become clean so that I may peacefully worship the Lord and bring peace to the entire world.
Okay, somebody else can read from here. Anybody?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I'll continue, please. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has given us a very fine purport in this regard. Whenever one offers a prayer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one always requests some benediction from him. Even pure Nishkama devotees pray for some benediction, as instructed by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Shikshashtaka. Ai Nanda Tanuja Kinkaram Paditam Mam Vishame Bhavam Budhav Kripaya Tava Pad Pankaja Sthita Dhuli Sadrisham Vichintaya. O son of Maharaj Nanda, Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from the ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. In another prayer, Lord Chaitanya says, Mama Janmani Janmanishwari Bhavatad Bhaktir Ahaitu Tvai. Life after life, kindly let me have unalloyed love and devotion at your Lordship's lotus feet. When Prahlad Maharaj chants Om Namo Bhagavate Narsimhaya, he prays for benediction from the Lord. But because he is also an exalted Vaishnava, he wants nothing for his personal sense gratification. The first desire expressed in this prayer is Svasti Astu Vishwasya. Let there be good fortune throughout the entire universe. Prahlad Maharaj thus requested the Lord to be merciful to everyone, including his father, a most envious person. According to Chanakya Pandita, there are 2 kinds of envious living entities. One is a snake and the other is the man like Hiranyakashipu, who is by nature envious of everyone, even of his father or son. Hiranyakashipu was envious of his little son Prahlad, but Prahlad Maharaj asked a benediction for the benefit of his father. Hiranyakashipu was very envious of devotees, but Prahlad wished that his father and other demons like him would give up their envious nature by the grace of the Lord and stop harassing the devotees. Khala prasidatam. The difficulty is that the khala, envious living entity, is rarely pacified. One kind of khala, the snake, can be pacified simply by mantras or by the action of a particular herb. Mantraushadhi vashah sarpa khalakena nevaryate. An envious person, however, cannot be pacified by any means. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj prays that all envious persons may undergo a change of heart and think of the welfare of others. Thank you very much.
And somebody else, the last part.
In the Krishna consciousness movement spreads all over the world, and if, by the grace of Krishna, everyone accepts it, the thinking of envious people will change. Everyone will think of the welfare of others. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj prays Shivam Mitho Dhiya. In material activities, everyone is envious of others, but in Krishna consciousness, no one is envious of anyone else. Everyone thinks of the welfare of others. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj prays that everyone's mind may become gentle by being fixed at the lotus feet of Krishna. Bhajatat adok saje, as indicated every elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam, Savai Manaha Krishna Padara Vindayoho, and as advised by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 18.65, Man Mana Bhava Mad Bhakta. One should constantly think of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Then one's mind will certainly be cleansed. Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Materialists always think of sense gratification. But Prahlad Maharaj prays that the Lord's mercy will change their minds and they will stop thinking of sense gratification. If they think of Krishna always, everything will be all right. Some people argue that if everyone thought of Krishna in that way, the whole universe would be vacated because everyone would go back home, back to Godhead. However, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that this is impossible because the living entities are innumerable. If one set of living entities is, oh Krishna, I just lost it. If one set of living entities is actually delivered by Krishna consciousness movement, another set will fill the entire universe. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Very much. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So may there be good fortune throughout the universe, and may all envious persons be pacified. May all living entities become calm by practicing Bhakti Yoga, for by accepting devotional service, they will think of each other's welfare. Therefore, let us all engage in the service of the Supreme Transcendence, Lord Sri Krishna, and always remain absorbed in thoughts of Him. So this is one of the most important verses that is there in this chapter, and in fact in this whole canto, especially grouped with the verse that was discussed earlier, Om Namo Bhagavate Nishingaya, that verse that we recited, and this one. A lot of devotees I know, they, like how we write your ever well-wisher, they use this verse to conclude their discussions or their correspondences by quoting this verse and the translation. And that's why this verse was ringing in my ears for a long time. And somehow, with Krishna's arrangement, got the opportunity to discuss and glorify this verse. So just to set the context a little bit, we are discussing this chapter where the residents of Jambudip are offering prayers. And obviously everybody is pretty clued, but just for a general understanding, this Bhumandal or planet Earth has been distributed into different, there are different sections, right? There are different, so there are, one of the main section in this is Jambudip. And in Jambudip itself, there are subsections. And in different subsections, there are different forms of the personality of Godhead who reside. And there is amongst those residents is also a devotee, a pure devotee of the Lord who is offering prayers. So this particular chapter has captured different varshas and the prayers offered by the devotees in those in those places, glorifying the Supreme Lord. So totally there are, I think, 6 prayers in this chapter and 34 verses. And a major part of that is Prahlad Maharaj's prayers, which is from 8 to 14 in this particular chapter, verses 8 to 14. And today we'll be doing 9. So it's very significant. And this particular verse is very significant because it shows the mood of Prahlad Maharaj. Just like when we try to understand and be closer or connect deeper with Srila Prabhupada, we need to understand his mood and mission. So what is his mood? The same verse may have different implications or reactions amongst various devotees. So how does the Acharya take this verse, explain this verse, and want us to understand that verse? That is very important. The mood. So this verse is Prahlad Maharaj's mood. And not only Prahlad Maharaj's mood, this is also the mood of Srila Prabhupada. And as we discuss further today, we will see how it is so relevant for each one of us. Not only in just reading Bhagavatam, but in terms of everything that we do. And if we dovetail our activities around this verse, then there's a lot of transformation that can happen within us and in the environment around us. So let's look at some of the very important points Prabhupada mentions first in the purport, and then I'll kind of summarize this verse and break it up into 2 sections. The first thing Prabhupada he writes is that a Vaishnav is a very, very important personality. We say that we need to associate with devotees and they are very good and, they are very rare to find and we should take association. But sometimes we not consciously, but maybe subconsciously undervalue a devotee or even undervalue the association with a devotee and take it very for granted or very, we don't give it that much importance. So first, Prabhupada emphasizes that fact. Before we understand this verse, we have to understand who is speaking this verse, what is his mood, what is his purpose, and how we can derive something out of this. So first, Prabhupada writes, who is a Vaishnav? So he very nicely says, a Vaishnav is somebody who can fulfill the desires of anyone who takes shelter of him. And he obviously gives this verse that we pretty much recite every day, they are just like desire trees and they can fulfill the desires of everyone, including fallen, conditioned souls. So it is said that when we want to approach Krishna, we approach Krishna through Radharani. And it is easier to approach Krishna through Radharani, easier, simpler, and pretty much sure shot. Why? Meaning assured of success. So when Radharani actually recommends somebody, Krishna does not ask any questions. Sometimes if we approach the person, a very well-known person or a very person in an influential position, whether it is for a job or it is for a favor or it is for asking for something, if we approach that influential person directly, that person may have some doubts initially, why is somebody approaching me? I don't even know this person. Is his intention right or wrong? And they go in through so much analysis and they're so busy. But if their personal assistant or their best friend recommends somebody, then they will take it much more seriously. And we see that all around us, right? Even especially in terms of finding a job. A referral always works. If somebody refers us to the decision maker in that company, then it is said almost 60 to 70% of our job is done. So same thing, when we approach Krishna, it is through the mercy of Radharani. So Krishna says, who do you think is a good devotee? And Radharani points to that, this person is a good devotee, this is a good devotee. And Krishna does not ask any questions. He grants them their ultimate destination. So similarly, a Vaishnava is somebody who can grant us or aspiring devotees the ultimate destination, fulfill their desires. So Prabhupada emphasizes the importance of a Vaishnava first. So these people, why do they just fulfill the desires of everybody? They're not like a machine that, where you put a coin and suddenly your desires are met. No. Why do they do that? What is the purpose? And that purpose is established. Why? Because they understand that this world is full of mischievous people and they want to do welfare activities for the whole world. So to get them out of their mischievous mentality and to make their life successful for their welfare, they take so much trouble, or they want to take up so much trouble. So they want them to become free from envy, because it's envy that has got us in this material world, and it is envy that is keeping us engaged in this material world. And Vaishnavas want to break that cycle. Whether we like it or not, whether we desire it or not, they want to break that cycle. And they create opportunities for us so that we can change our desires and we can act in that regard based on their advice sometimes or recommendation. So here Prabhupada first thing he establishes about Vaishnava. Second, he says that because this whole material world is full of envious people, we are in this material world because of envy in the first place, these Vaishnavas want to do this welfare activity. That is their whole and sole purpose. Otherwise, why would Bhaktivinoda Thakur take so much effort to re-establish Chaitanya Charitamrita? It was practically lost, we hear, especially that time in Navadvip, which was slowly deteriorating as the plain place of learning. Like we understand during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, Mayapur was like the Cambridge or Harvard of the whole world. People from all over the world used to come to Mayapur to study, to gain knowledge. And then it kind of deteriorated to the point that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he took it upon himself to revive the true Vaishnavism. What was seen as Vaishnavism was a complete deviation. So he re-established it. Why? For the welfare of others. Then of course, we hear Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati being such a bold preacher. Why? Again, for the welfare of others, so that envious people can be pacified. Why did Prabhupada go to the West? For the welfare of others. Right? So all we see right from the time Prahlad Maharaj offered these prayers, all of the acharyas in that succession have been having that same mood of providing welfare activities for others. So this is a very important part. Second part in the purport, Prabhupada writes that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains something interesting. Sometimes there's a misconception that when we start following Krishna consciousness, try to become devotees, we should not ask for anything from the Supreme Lord. Just let the Lord decide what is good for us. Of course, that's how it should be, provided we are surrendered. Provided in our heart we know that why do I need to ask? Krishna knows what is in my mind, what I need. If he feels it's appropriate, he will give me anyway. Why waste my energy and ask? But many times we are not at that level. So we have certain desires, we have certain wants, and before we used to not know where to ask. Then somebody said, okay, you pray to this devata or this or that and ask. And sometimes we used to get, sometimes we didn't get. And from there we move to following the process of Krishna consciousness, where everything is centered around Krishna and we ask. So it's not that having desires or asking is necessarily bad. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur here, Prabhupada writes, is emphasizing what we can ask. Asking something from the Lord as a child is natural. But unlike other people who ask for material benedictions, give me this, give me this, give me this, give me this, a Vaishnav or a devotee of the Lord, he also has desires. He also asks for benedictions. But what is his benediction? And his benediction is, as Prabhupada writes here, that is what is expressed by Prahlad Maharaj in this case. So Prahlad Maharaj in this particular verse asks for 3 benedictions. And then he gives us the 2 ways in which we can follow the path or the mission of the Supreme Lord. So 3 things to ask, 2 things to do. So 3 wants and 2 to-dos. And we'll talk about that a bit later. I'll just cover a couple of other points in the purport. Next, Prabhupada writes a very interesting point. He says that there are envious people in this world, and the word here in this prayer is khalaha. Khalaha means envious. So Prabhupada writes that there are 2 types of envious people. So first is a snake. Envious, it's an envious personality. So just like the dharma of fire is heat and light, the dharma of a snake is enviousness. And that was very nicely depicted in the Aghasur Leela, the form of the snake, which indicates, of course, false ego and many other things, but essentially enviousness. Aghasur was envious. So a snake is by nature envious. It cannot give up that nature. And the second aspect is, or second type of envious people are people like Hiranyakashipu. Now there's a difference. One might think that, okay, between a snake and an envious person, who is better of the 2? Right? And sometimes we might think that, okay, a person may change, may not change. Snake will never change. So maybe a person is better. Sometimes we may think like that. But here Prabhupada explains that although the nature of the snake is enviousness, as a result of some herbs or some mantras that are chanted properly, the envious nature of the snake can be pacified. But the envious nature of a person who is by nature envious can never be pacified. So that person who's envious is more dangerous than even a snake. Very interesting. He says that mantra aushadhi vashaha sarpa khalena nivaryate. An envious person cannot be pacified by any means. Very interesting. And then the last part, Prabhupada writes in the purport that a materialist person is always constantly planning for sense gratification. He's thinking, how I can enjoy my senses. And he's using his intelligence to gratify his senses. So because they're always thinking of sense gratification, how they're looking for opportunities, how I can enjoy. Because they're looking for opportunities and they want to grab some opportunities, in this material world, we know whenever there are opportunities, there are also obstacles. Sometimes we can grab the opportunity successfully, sometimes we cannot. And when we cannot, then what happens? We want to enjoy, there is an opportunity, I want to grab, but somehow it slips from my hand. Then what happens? I become disturbed. I become agitated. And I become envious to the person who stopped me from grabbing the opportunity to enjoy. Is it not? Yes. So this is how It's not that the person is by nature envious, but because of being attracted to sense gratification, and the whole and soul of life is just to enjoy by any means, by hook or by crook. That is what gives rise or gives more fuel to that enviousness. Of course, we are by nature, you could say, Satchidananda, but because we wanted to lord it over nature by kind of expressing some kind of enviousness against the Supreme Lord, we are here. But that is not an inherent nature. It is something that has somehow come over because of the propensity to enjoy. So the more there is propensity to enjoy, the more risk there is of becoming more envious. Think about it. And that enviousness is the cause of all problems because it will keep us engaged in that cycle of reaction, action, reaction. So what is the process? How do we get out of this cycle? And to get out of the cycle is we somehow or the other need to take up the process that is given by Prahlad Maharaj himself in this verse itself, to take up the process of Krishna consciousness. And that can only happen in the association of a devotee who has taken up the process of Krishna consciousness. And we just associate with such a person and we become completely engaged in that service. And when we become engaged in that service, our desires change, our activities change, our mind becomes calm, it's more satisfied, and it's not constantly looking for opportunities for sense gratification, but starts looking opportunities for performing devotional service. And when we engage in devotional service, the satisfaction and bliss that is experienced makes us effulgent. And when we feel good and blissful, what do we like to do? We would like to share this bliss with others. And that is the perfect welfare activity. So it's at that point that we start sharing this with others. We develop this whole attitude of compassion. And then we are praying and asking benediction from Krishna to help other people take up this process and get out of this cycle of repeated birth and death. But first we need to do. So in this particular prayer, coming back to this, first Prahlad Maharaj said, Swastyastu, first this is Swastyastu Vishwasya. Swastyastu means auspiciousness, and Vishwasya, this whole universe. So Prahlad Maharaj is saying, first thing is, may there be good fortune or auspiciousness throughout the universe. That is the desire of the devotee. Not just auspiciousness for my family, for my friend, for my country. Auspiciousness throughout the universe. That is the first desire. As I said, there are three desires. Okay. So the first desire is, may there be good fortune or auspiciousness for the entire universe. Number one. Second, khala prasidatam. Khala means envious people. And prasidatam means they should be pacified. So all the envious people in the world should be pacified and their minds become calm. That is the second benediction. So first is good fortune throughout the universe. Second is all envious people become pacified and calm. Second. Third, may they become calm by practicing devotional service. So here he's saying, Dhyayantu Bhutani Shivam Mitho Dhiya, by using their intelligence, Dhiya. And Dhyayantu means they should consider with their minds, with their intelligence, they should take up this practice of devotional service. So three wishes, three desires. Let there be complete auspiciousness or good fortune. All envious people be satisfied and they become calm by practicing devotional service. This is the desire of a Vaishnav, the desire of Prahlad Maharaj and desire of all our acharyas. Now they have these three desires. Now the next part of this verse Prahlad Maharaj is expressing how to do it. Okay. So 3 desires and 2 to-dos. So first of the to-dos. If they engage in devotional service, what will happen? They will think of each other's welfare. Each other's welfare. And the second part is they will engage in the service of the Supreme. So the word here is manascha bhadram, with the mind. They will bhajatad adhokshaje. So Prahlad Maharaj is very clear. We should engage in the service of adhokshaje. Right? And then aveshatam no matir apyahaituki. And they should remain absorbed. The aveshatam no matir apyahaituki. Without any need, without any motivation. Apahituki means there is no motive, there is no material motive. To fulfill the desires of these 3 desires that the Vaishnava has, he wants to engage in the service of the Lord and he wants to completely remain absorbed in the service of the Lord. And to that extent, sometimes we know it's Adokshaj, we know it's a Supreme Lord, but sometimes we need to go through some nice verses to remind us that he is really the Supreme Lord. He is there to take care of us. He is always there for our upliftment. We just have to look up to him. Right? And there's a nice verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is sharing with Sanatan Goswami. He says, Nayakanam Shiro Ratnam Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Yatra Nityataya Sarve Virajante Mahagunaha. So it says that the Krishna is the Nayakam. Nayakam Shiro Ratnam. That he is the crown jewels. Shiro Ratnam, the jewel, Ratna. And Nayakam. So he is the crown jewels of all the heroes. So there are different Nayaks, but he is the Shiro Ratnam of all Nayaks. He is the crown jewel of all the heroes. Why? Because all the transcendental good qualities that we see, we hear, we observe, we experience are all there permanently in such a Nayak. So this Nayak is not namesake. He is displaying these wonderful transcendental qualities. So this is our Supreme Lord. This is Adokshaj. So how do we remain, as we engage in devotional service? Well, sometimes we tend to wonder how to remain constantly absorbed. We can't chant 24 hours. We can't read Bhagavatam 24 hours. How do we remain absorbed? We should remain absorbed, right? That's the whole purpose of Krishna consciousness. But how to remain absorbed? And the most easy way to understand that, when we say remembering or remaining absorbed, it means we have to become obedient to the instructions given by the Supreme Lord, either through the scriptures or through his bona fide representatives. Meaning, the instructions that Krishna gives us through Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, the instructions that we get from our Shiksha or Diksha Guru is an instruction, or we could say is like a communication coming from the Lord himself. Sometimes we tell or think that, how do we talk to Krishna? How do we listen to Krishna? Right? Now, Krishna does not talk like us, he can talk like us, of course, but we can't perceive like how we are talking, or we may talk to each other face to face. That's not how Krishna talks to us. But we can talk to Krishna. Yes or no? Of course we can talk to Krishna. We can talk normal, how we are talking. There is another very subtle way to talk to Krishna. And we do it all the time. Not with Krishna, but we do it all the time. One way that we can talk to Krishna is we offer our thoughts. Thoughts, they keep coming. So the feelings we can't control. Feelings, they come. But thoughts we can control. Is it not? If we want to. most of the time the thoughts keep coming. And again, most of the time, if we are not conscious, they are random thoughts. Right? The mind is going here, there, oh, what are people doing? What's happening? It's thoughts. So if we can learn the technique to direct our thoughts to Krishna, Krishna can read our mind, yes or no? Other people, other living entities we are speaking to, they don't read our mind. Imagine what will happen if they read our mind. Disaster maybe sometimes. So Krishna, he can read our mind. So when we offer our thoughts, that's when we are actually expressing our heart. We are talking to Krishna, not just through our words, but through our thoughts. Similarly, when we are talking to Krishna, Krishna will also talk back to us. It's a communication, it's a two-way process. It's not that we are just talking and thinking, will Krishna even talk to us? Is he even listening? Like the children say, when we place an offering plate, a bhoga offering in front of the Lord, children who are not following the process or not in a family like that, and when we meet some new people, children come and say, is Krishna eating? And mother says yes, or how is Krishna eating? Sometimes we get those thoughts. But a child, who is been given this process, he has that understanding, he is very clear that yes, Krishna is eating. Not the way we eat, but Krishna is still eating. So sometimes we need to understand or tell ourselves that Krishna is actually speaking to us. And how does he speak to us? We have to be very mindful. Sometimes we read with the intention of just reading. But when we read the scriptures, sometimes Krishna actually speaks to us. And there may be some doubts or questions in our mind that is troubling us, or maybe not troubling us, but we are looking for opportunities to ask that question. Sometimes in the course of a class or some discussion, or somebody else asking a question that is very similar or exactly the same as what you have in your mind. That is Krishna talking to us. That is Krishna giving us the message. We need to capture it and we need to value it. Same thing, the message can also come from another devotee. So in the association of devotees, Krishna actually reciprocates. It's just that we don't become mindful, we take it very casually. But if we really appreciate and understand how Krishna talks to us, then we'll be valuing this devotee association even more. So Krishna talks to us through the scriptures and through the discussions we have with devotees and the advice that we get from the devotees. It is Krishna directly talking. So there is a nice verse in Bhagavatam that says that all we need to do is endeavor. Krishna is already there in the heart. He will manifest when we endeavor. So it's in Canto 2. This is a verse that very nicely says that Shrinvatam Swakatha Krishna. Shrinvatam Shraddhaya Nityam Ghrinitascha Swacheshtitam Kalena Nati Dirghena Bhagavan Vishate Hridi. So it is said that Shrinvatam Shraddhaya Nityam. That Shrinvatam, we have to constantly hear. How? With Shraddha, with faith. How often? Nityam. Prabhupada writes, every day. So every day we hear with faith. And that's one of the purposes of this Bhagavatam class. Nityam, then what does he say? Nityam ghnitas cha swacheshtitam. So that nityam that we do, we have to endeavor. We have to endeavor hard. So endeavor what? Endeavor not just with material activities and endeavor too hard there. There we should just endeavor as much as required. But for Bhagavatam, we must over endeavor. Not just endeavor. Endeavor will not work. We must over endeavor with Srimad Bhagavatam. Shraddhaya, with Shraddha and Nityam. Then what is going to happen? Ultimately, if we are constantly doing this with Bhagavatam, connecting ourselves, then what is going to happen? That ultimately, Kalena Nati Dirghena, if we do that, very soon, very, very soon, Na ati dirghena. So very, very soon, Krishna will manifest in our heart. And when Krishna manifests in the heart, he's there, but he manifests. And when he manifests, we can imagine what is the feeling we will go through. So imagine a Vaishnav. A Vaishnav is somebody in whose heart Krishna is already manifested. And because Krishna is already manifested, he has this feeling of contentment, this feeling of satisfaction, and he does not get affected by other envious people. He constantly has that feeling of compassion. And because of that, he can ask the Lord for these 3 benedictions. And he inspires and motivates devotees and people who are not practicing this process to do these 2 things. Because he knows as soon as a person engages in these 2 things, what is going to happen? Bhagavan Vishate Hridi. Even in his heart, Krishna will manifest. Then all other problems automatically go away. So this verse is the Shiromani verse of this whole chapter. So just to conclude, 5 points to take away. 3 things that the Vaishnav desires, and following their footsteps, we should also desire. And 2 things that we do and we inspire and motivate others to do. So what are the 3 things to desire? First is that there be all auspiciousness for everybody throughout the universe. Second, let all the envious people be pacified. Third, let their minds become calm by practicing the process of bhakti or devotional service. And the 2 things to do, first thing is people start thinking of each other's welfare as a result of following the devotional service. And the second part to do is engage in the service of the Lord and remain absorbed. Remain completely absorbed in thoughts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhajatad Adhokshaje. Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Shri Nishingadev Bhagavan ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments on what we've discussed today? Most welcome.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. What we discussed today, it's very important. That Shiromani verse you told, and you gave the nice points and nice discuss for this purport and the slokas. That's main important is Vaishnav is his personality. How should be, and how to go to Krishna through Radha. Even in our initiation system and everything, we should go to the someone reference we need, isn't it? Then same way, in our material world also, we have discussed about the job or anything. We have to go through referral systems, and we can go to Krishna with mercy of Radha. So that benediction you have discussed, that how Prahlad Maharaj asking, this is also very important. The 3 benedictions we have discussed nicely, and so many points with this. That this auspiciousness should be throughout the universe, not for my family, not for myself, because it's a Vaishnava's quality. And they don't think about their own. And envious people should be pacified. They have so many desires, and how to go that it should be in the process. Otherwise, it should not be, because we have seen in how we were before, how was material desire was there. So that should be, the process is there, and in that way they will come. And how to do it? So people start thinking each other welfare. Yes, I will do good for him or for her, that way, and engage of the service of Adhokshaji, Krishna, and observe that service, not only mechanically. We have to do the following the process, and how, when we are reading, we have to observe and we have to apply. And what's the how we can observe that we have told about the process as well. Shraddhaya Nittam means we have to do with faith and regularly. That's we have given the nice verse as well. And that way, what's the Falasruti? Our purification will come, Anartha will remove, and Krishna will manifest in our heart. Thank you. This is the process we must remember and we must follow. Thank you, Prabhu. Again, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other comments or questions? All right. Okay, we'll end here then.
Yes, Prabhu. Vancha kalpatarubhascha kripa sindhupaeva cha patitanam pavanebho Vaishnavebho namo namaha Ananta Koti Vaishnava Brindo ki jai,
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai,
Jai.
His Grace Suhrit Krishna Prabhu ki jai,
Jai.
Premanande, Hari Hari Bol,
Hare
all great assembled devotees. Hare
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you very
Hare
much.
Krishna.